Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how to cold start the new version of the Community A4 version 2 and then taxi to the runway. Just a couple of key bindings that you're going to want to definitely have down will be nose wheel steering here, so you'll want to assign that to something, and also if you have rudder pedals, you're going to want to set your differential brakes just to make life a little bit easier. Okay, so here we are in the cockpit, and first thing we are going to need to do is to call up the menu, speak to the ground crew, select ground power, and
Chief, turn on the ground power. Copy.
Your little ground power unit should appear on your right any
Ground
second.
power is
There
now
we go.
on.
And everything will calibrate. You'll get the warning lights there. Also you'll have a fuel engine fuel light at the bottom there. Now when I was taught to fly in FSX by a Nimrod pilot, he taught me to set up the external lights first before moving into the cockpit. Simple reason being is that if anybody around the aircraft is unaware at the time that a startup procedure is about to start, lights on would give a bit of warning to anybody standing around the aircraft. So we'll go into that now, and it's this row of switches here. Basically goes from nose to tail. So you've got the probe light there, which is at the very tip, and then all the way back to tail. So we'll flick the switch, taxi on, anti-collisions, fuselage on, flash, wing lights, and tail lights. Next you're going to want to select start by right clicking that. The RPM gauge will rev up. Once it's over about 4 or 5%, you're going to want to switch, left click this into ignition. The light will go out, and then once the RPMs reach over 15%, you're going to want to flick it over again to introduce the fuel flow, and the engine will come to life. There we go. Right, okay, so now for some important systems. So switch the radar to standby, angle of attack computer on. Back here you're going to want to switch the AFCS to standby. You're going to want your oxygen so you don't pass out in turns or high altitude. And then over to the right hand side, we're going to start switching on some of the comms. Navigation, we're going to flick that over to standby, and now we've got our coordinates up there. Stick the nav to standby. We'll go to the UHF and we're going to stick that to TRG, which stands for Training, Receiving and Guard, and then down to the TACAN we're going to switch that to TNR, which is also Training and Receiving. Now if you're in poor light or whatever, these will be your internal cockpit switches, so you can switch instrument lights on, consoles lights on, and you can also have bright or medium floodlights. I personally don't like the floodlights if they're not needed, so yeah, that's everything ready for the taxi. We're now going to set our flaps, which the meter's down here, to half. Now I have my switch for the flaps for up and down as down else stop or up else stop, so it just means that because I've got a rocker switch here, which means that I can hold the button down for the flaps to move to where I want them to move to and let go to stop in the position I want, so down a little bit further or back up a bit further, and those are that's in put in flaps. There we go. So down else stop and up else stop. I mean, you can switch them to up down if you want to toggle switch or whatever. But yeah, those are the buttons I'm using for that. And then we're going to want to set our trim for takeoff between 6 and 7 degrees. So this is the trim here. So we're going to want to set that to obviously dependent on your weight, if you're carrying anything or not. At the moment I'm clean, so really I could stick it around about 6, but obviously the heavier you are, you're going to want to have that up further near 8. Speaking of rearming and refueling, rearming, obviously your rearm refuel there you're able to do while the aircraft is started, and like many of the other high fidelity modules, so there's no worries there at all.
Request rearming.
And
Copy.
there we go, didn't get denied anything. Next, what we're going to want to do is disconnect that ground power unit. So back into ground crew menu, ground electric power, switch that off.
Turn off the ground power. Copy.
That'll disappear. At some point that should disappear. Try it again.
Chief, turn off the ground power. Copy. Ground power is now off.
There we go. And then we're going to want to close the canopy. Now you can either do that using Control C, or you can click this lever here and that will bring the canopy down. Sorry everyone, just a quick amendment here. Before you taxi, and you've had everything that I previously mentioned all flicked on and all ready to go, you're going to want to flick the stability augmentation switch on, which is located just here on the ASCS panel, and flick that on, and then you're ready to go. Apologies for that. Right, we're pretty much ready to roll. So we'll bring the RPMs up. Now, for nose wheel steering, you're going to want to hold the button in whilst you use your rudder pedals, otherwise it will not respond. It's not an on-off kind of system. So here obviously it's very tight here at this airfield, so keep it nice and slow and get it around the corners. Obviously if you're taxiing above 15 knots, then you're going to want to use your differential braking so that you don't tip. As this is an enhanced flight model now, it has the ability to roll over, so you're not going to want that to happen. So obviously just using your toe brakes to turn left and right is a bit of a bonus really. There we go, and now we are out into the wider taxiways. If I use my left brake and right brake, you'll see that it turn either way. So there we go. Okay. So that's your left, that's your right. So yeah, obviously you've got the added slowing down as you turn, so there's that to think about as well. I've also got a wheel brakes lever switch that I use to control all brakes at once so that I don't skid out. But yeah, here we are at the end of the taxiway. BAE Systems A-4 Skyhawk, which was based in Germany. Yeah, so there you go. Not sure why the hook is down. Don't remember clicking that. But yeah, there you go. So that's Cold Dark Start and Taxi to the Runway. I hope that's been of help. Any comments, please do leave, as I do like feedback. And also, if you'd like the video, that would be great. And if you'd like to subscribe, I post videos most every other day. So take care of yourselves, and again, I hope that's helped. Have a nice day.